Okay.
I call the meeting to order. Joining the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ready? Go.
Pretty good. Okay, there's no public today. Have you had a chance to review the minutes?
I make a motion we approve them as presented. I don't see any corrections.
I'll second that.
Move in second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Commissioner comments and committee reports.
I have none.
I had a JCAP meeting and they're wanting to make some changes and I don't know if they can legally do it. They're having some truancy issues and there's a couple of grandparents with separate kids, and as long as they're in the grandparents' care, everything's good. And they're thinking about getting the grandparents legal guardianship. Can they do that legally?
Well, yeah, it has to be approved by the court, for sure.
Okay. And then secondly, they was going to start punishing the parents more because they said it's basically the same ones year after year, or, you know, it's usually the same kids it's not. And they're offering classes to come in special, and some kids are taking advantage of it, and some are not. They did locate a home where they can have some temporary housing, which is going to help cost-wise. And the average stay now, it's increased 6 days from what it was last year for keeping the kids
The average stay
when they take them into custody or whatever. They use all the macromeds.
Okay.
And that they was going to hire a physician, and I guess you'd call Megan, the director from Montgomery County, didn't like it. Shelley got a little upset. She thought she should have been informed she's an equal. So we discussed that, and that's going to get changed. Everybody that's involved in this decision will be involved, and they want to change the meetings from Mondays to Thursdays. The next meeting is January 16th, I believe, in Atchison, Thursday. That's all I have, Victor.
Brittany Bruce.
Hi.
You're up. You get to come up front on the camera. You see the back of your head.
Perfect. I have some goodies as well that I brought. So my name is Brittany Bruce. Nice to meet you.
Eric Nolan.
Yes,
you call? Yeah, you called me on the phone.
We are in your district, so.
Okay.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Jack Powell.
Nice to meet you, Jack. Hi.
Henry Powell.
I have some stuff to give you all, packages, and I also created packages for the townships as well. So, in each packages, several of them, and then I also brought some extra information for you as well to have. So in each package, essentially I have, she's going to explain. I have more agreements as well. I can give them to you. So I'm a part of a greater company. I'm with NextEra Energy. My name is Brittany Bruce. We are building a wind facility in Nemaha County. And in order to tie that transmission to generation that's going to be generating, we need to build a long, approximate 75-mile transmission line, which is scheduled and proposed to be currently going through Leavenworth, Atchison, Jefferson, and Jackson County. This is a different type of transmission line. Sorry, before I keep going, this is Chris. He's one of our engineers on the project. He actually came up with this haul route that you see in your folders. You can answer technical questions.
And they do construction in a haul route.
So, in this folder, I have contact information. I have myself, Chris, and then the developer of the project, the larger project in Nemaha is here, and then also my counterpart, Mark, who's also supporting the Nemaha development. Just some information about my company, K.S.A. We are a large company based out of Juno Beach, Florida. We have produced more wind and solar than anyone in the United States at this point. We're the largest generator of power from the wind and the sun. Our business is kind of different than a typical electric utility in a place like Kansas. So whereas we have a regulated utility in the state of Florida, outside of the state of Florida is our K.S.A. Energy Resources unregulated, they call it unregulated subsidiary. We build facilities that generate wholesale power, and then we sell that power to places like utilities, or it could be C&I customers, commercial and industrial customers. But so it's a different business. So the reason why I'm explaining that to you is because we don't have eminent domain jurisdiction. We're not, electric utility that you may be familiar with, a transmission line that may just say, hey, we're digging in your yard, here's some money, have a nice day, and they have this nice long path. So the reason why, when you look at the site plan, which is in your packages as well, it goes along with the proposed holiday agreement, you'll see the pathway is a little rickety. And that's largely in part because some folks don't want to participate. They'll say kick rocks, and we kick rocks and we go to the next house, next door. So everything is completely voluntary with our development process. Everyone gets paid, based upon agreed terms. So part of this is it's a transmission development. It's going to be in your county, a little bit of it. No wind turbines, just the transmission line, a chunk, which you can see in the maps I give, and I'll give you one as well. And I did some diligence. I met with some folks in the community, and I learned that in Atchison is kind of unique in that your townships have jurisdiction over the township roads, whereas that's not the case maybe in Leavenworth and Jefferson. So I met with a couple of the townships, and I proposed that I could, if they agree to it, I could, have the same agreement, haul road agreement with them as well for their township roads. So they like that idea, and I think when I was talking to you, or I think it was on Eric, you said you would invite the township folks.
I did, and I think they were out farming. So.
I figured I brought these in case you maybe wanted to hand it to them, or I can always reach out as well.
Oh, okay, they don't have one of these? Yeah.
I gave them all folders that I met with, but we kind of went through the agreement. I went through the agreement with several folks, and we made some red lines, so this is kind of a newer document.
I can get them to you, so
Okay.
I'm gonna leave them.
What are you gonna tie into with the lower end?
Point of interconnection is in Leavenworth.
Stranger Creek.
Okay.
Just say. Jay?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Knoll. I didn't know if you were coming up for the whole road discussion or
So
not.
you're going in Leavenworth County at what location, right?
So that's all proposed. It's not binding. Leavenworth hasn't signed off on it yet.
Okay, that's fine.
That's just what we
Thanks.
felt would be appropriate. Chris went through all those roads. He tried to avoid the restricted roads that said, you can't go over with this amount of weight.
So you're gonna sell all your energy to Free State Electric?
I can't remember who our optic is.
Cause that's their substation down there. Colorado Valley and Leavenworth Central.
I could find out.
That's not.
So what do these transmission lines look like?
They go ahead and do it.
What the proposal is.
Are they tall, or are they metal posts? Or are they-
Probably something like this that goes by Blair's, goes north, kind of a big.
I will
Are they usually need this?
Oh, I think.
If they go a different direction?
Is that okay?
Is this,
Well,
is
I
this the project?
have no problem if the landowners don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem.
Yeah, there's public right away.
They put it, you're gonna use a lot of.
Okay. Alright.
You're gonna use a lot of roads.
This is, I'd like to have someone.
Right. Well, we've got 2 or 3 going on.
Well, we've already, the one that's coming across the north end of the county, we didn't ask the
Yeah, I'm
same
glad you're here.
questions about that.
I will.
That's public utility.
Oh, they haven't got it on that.
Westar?
Yeah, it's a completely different animal.
Yeah, okay.
I'd like someone to explain this to me. Doesn't have a vested interest.
These packets don't seem to be the same. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't have
none of
any
these are the
maps.
same.
These
I
don't
had
have
all the
the
maps in
same.
mind.
So that map is the same as that map, only that's just a larger version of it.
I have no maps.
But I don't think these two have any map at all. Of the,
Well, I didn't look for them, so.
Mine was in this, on the back of that side.
Yeah, so I made
the
some
right.
larger versions, just because I couldn't put them all in the suitcase, but I figured it out.
Now, the route, have you got the ground all leased?
Yes.
It's all leased ground for, and have they all signed on to it now? Okay. So it's not gonna be on public road?
No.
No, it's on private property.
All on private property.
Nothing crosses public.
Nothing except the highways and the county roads. It's only place we cross.
It crosses, but you wouldn't have, poles or any infrastructure on public road.
That's correct.
I'd like to understand this more.
There's the complete
This is
site
a
plan
new
of 6
thing for
pages
us.
and then the
It
hall.
may happen again with some other company.
Sorry, what was the question?
What stops another wind producer that want to come across the county?
What stops another wind producer?
Yeah, I mean, if you've got some farms in Nemaha County, right? So what if someone wants to come from, North County in Nebraska, the same route? Are these gonna be shared utility line or?
This is potentially going to be a shared utility line. It's a 345 kV, so there could be other companies, other projects that tie into it. With the same line.
Not necessarily the same route. You know, they're not gonna put, necessarily another line right beside us. That could happen, but they would have to go through the same steps that we've gone through to acquire the easements, you know, for private land.
I'd like to understand this much better than I'm gonna comment on it. We need a consultant.
What are you questioning?
I don't understand what you're doing. I mean, you're producing, you're harvesting electricity in Nemaha County. You're coming across Atchison County.
Not with wind turbines, just the
No, I
transmission
understand
line.
what you're doing, but with unsightly poles and wires.
Will there be property tax paid on this easement, Ms. Brown?
For digital tax base. I don't. That's been asked before. I'm not 100% positive.
Because I know, like the railroads, they're one of our larger property tax payments. Looks
can
like
find
this
out.
one.
For you.
You don't have it?
I have not been privileged to this at this point. I did ask for information myself, so if it's something that would benefit the commission having a more in-depth analysis,
For
I'd
the
be happy
tax.
to assist with that.
Sure.
I'm not picking on you. I heard rumors of this way over a year ago, and I was asked, and I said, well, they've never come to the commissioners about this. Looks like that would have been one of the first steps you would have did before you did all this. And what's going to happen when the wind generators wear out? You'll take this line down, or it'll be there forever?
So this line, while it's going to be tying the generation from the wind facility to the point of interconnection, the belief behind it is it has a lot more capacity. So there will likely be other projects that are tying into it as well. So
So to answer your question, yes,
Once-
that's what happened.
I just want to understand it more.
sure, once the
Yeah, we're gonna put a line across the county. I just like to understand.
sure, yeah, and
The
it's a
pluses and
340.
minuses of
It's a 345 kV, so it'll definitely be utilized.
I know it's 345 kV, but I have no idea what you just said.
It'll be utilized by other facilities as well.
I think you were also asking about more lines.
Yeah.
Right, so, if another wind farm went a different area, then yeah, they would have to tie in somewhere. Somebody would have to purchase the power just like they did us. But, like she's saying, there is room on the same line for more generation to tie in, but it wouldn't necessarily you wouldn't have to necessarily build a new line to do it.
The line would be the property on the company.
Personal
right?
property.
So you're not likely to want a competitor to tie in,
It's
unless they're paying.
at that
Unless they pay
point,
for it.
right.
I just presumed when I heard about it,
We're building this for the customer.
you would tie into
Roger, you got
ITAM.
something to add?
I have a question, and that is, what are you asking the commission for at this point?
So a couple things. Number one, I'm asking for the blessing of a haul route agreement. Just want to understand that I understand what you expect from us for this type of development. And really, I just wanted to communicate to you as the commission, as the leaders of this community. I wanted to let you know what was happening and what the plan was.
Okay, my next question to you is, have you made application with Road and Bridge for potential use of the right-of-way?
We try to meet with the highway department, but I don't believe that we are going to utilize it for haul route purposes?
Well, you're also gonna be crossing right-of-ways, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Overhead.
Have you applied for any of those crossings with the county road and bridge?
With entrances, say we need to put an entrance from a state highway onto our right of way, then we'd have to go, and put an application.
Okay, all right.
That.
But that has not been done yet. That was my question. Has that been
The
done?
greater project is being permitted through the state.
Okay. I understand. My point is, I would hate to see them make a determination until it's been reviewed by their appropriate staff.
I agree with you, and I made full attempts to
Okay.
discuss this with the highway department.
Okay.
But unfortunately, the highway
If you're just
supervisor
using
wasn't-
highways for it, that the county is not responsible for, that's wonderful. If you're using county roads, then it,
County roads will need to be used, obviously, for
okay,
hauling.
all right.
And I'm under the impression
Alright.
that there was a new highway supervisor that just
Right here.
started. Okay,
Sure.
so I tried to reach out, and I guess there was some scheduling a couple months ago. So I was hoping.
He's
to-
on
Couple months
vacation
ago
a
with
week,
me.
10 days.
Okay,
You've just been on a couple of weeks now, right?
right.
Just
So we're all kind of starting
And
together.
and I'm unaware of it, so.
Okay.
And that's all I'm saying is, I'm always cautious trying to get the commission not to make commitments before we've at least had an opportunity to look at what it is.
I provided, Emily, I believe, in the highway department,
Alright.
all these materials about a month and a half, 2 months ago. The agreement, proposed agreement, the map and all that.
Maybe we do have it, maybe I'm just not familiar with who you are and I didn't see it today, so.
So I'm here.
And this is not a West Star thing,
No.
this is who?
Next Era Energy,
Okay,
Soldier Creek.
right, thank you.
And that's also why I wanted to come here, to kind of delineate between the two different businesses, the two different companies. So I know most people are familiar with transmission lines, having eminent domain, just, trenching through and have a nice day. We are not that kind of company. We don't do that. It's all.
You don't have
voluntary.
it.
We do not have eminent domain, no, sir.
So you signed all these people.
Yes, it's all completely voluntary. That's why our line is a little jagged.
It's voluntary, but it's compensation.
Absolutely.
Have you dealt with Steve Foss about this from Call Valley or from Free State? He's the manager. If you're going to the Stranger substation, that's Free State substation.
Yeah, they've dealt with them, they're already building infrastructure for, what we're going to use the substation itself, so they're well aware of what's going on there.
Well, you obviously come in and bought the right of way or have options to buy the right of way. right there. They actually have been paid. Right? Have the landlords been compensated, or are they?
And
Just
they
have-
either have or still are, or, you know, that's a different.
That's a whole different people. I want to understand it more. What the long-term consequences are, what the long-term opportunities are, what's good, what's bad. Should we do it? Shouldn't we do it?
Yeah, and basically that's why, you know, Brittany's wanting to present the road use agreement for y'all to do that very thing. You know, look over it, see what you think about it. Basically that's saying, you know, when we use your roads, we plan on putting them back the way they were, as good or better shape. Obviously every project we build, we have to use, you know, county roads to get from point A to point B, or we'll get built from that.
Let's say you cross a county bridge and you're probably got some large equipment and that's got a load limit on it. Are you gonna build a new bridge?
That's why we've tried to avoid low limit bridges and just use the haul route that uses your larger, newer bridges.
But to answer your question, yes, if we break anything, we will fix it. If we will replace it, whatever it takes to make you whole again.
Have you got a copy of our new papers on this, because we discussed it not that long ago?
That was with the haul route.
If you have a standard haul road agreement that you confirm
Well,
we fill
we
out.
had an agreement with Westar, but I don't know. We didn't
I
get
just thought we adopted that for everybody.
Now, that's a different animal, if you will, because
Okay.
they're a public utility and we're not dealing with a public utility here. So,
And Jackson County, for example, I rode around with the highway and bridge engineer there, and we looked at each proposed crossing or bridges, culverts, whatever, and he had a suspect that we're going to try to avoid, or we may have to mat or improve a little bit just so we can use them if they're empty. But for the most part, we've avoided anything that he was concerned about.
Do we have anything, or do you have anything to provide, like a list of equipment that you would be using, load links, weights, things like that, that we could see, you know, and say, okay, when they are going over, this is what they're potentially going to use.
Per axle,
Yes.
the weight.
Right.
The
That would
worst
be
case,
helpful.
Our heaviest pole, it'll have those specified.
And I know you've met with at least a couple of the townships. Are they receptive to the?
Absolutely, there's several folks on those township boards that are actually landowners for this project as well, and they're very appreciative of us being here.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
some of them
I
said
know
that
when we
they've already
talked.
gotten checks and.
We talked briefly. I know you'd said you had met with a couple of the townships. I had not been, you know, never did receive anything like a map or anything. We could have reviewed this earlier, so this is the first time we've seen any of the potential routes or anything. So we'll need to look at it. And,
I completely understand, yeah, this is not to sign today or anything like that, this is largely just, introduction and hello.
And I kind of like the idea, like you said, you had somebody from Road and Bridge actually ride with you in Jackson County. I think that would be a good step
Yeah.
to actually.
The counties have a good feel about it if they see exactly the roads and bridges that we want to use, and they'll say, let's try to avoid this one, or yeah, sure, you're good with this one, what your loads are, so. Yeah, it's good for everybody. In my opinion. And, you know, just need a phone number, you know, whomever you would like to assign we'll try to give them a call and see, you know, schedule it around their schedule.
Would that be Jay? Would that be you for be the contact person for any of this?
Let me get your phone number real quick, Jay.
So the county would be compensated for any time a line went over the public right of way, right?
The county would be compensated for
If you
any.
go over our road right of ways, we'd be
Like
compensated.
an easement, is what you're talking about?
I'm talking about being,
For any county road that's crossed, is what you're saying?
sure.
I doubt if that is standard practice.
I believe it's an easement or it'd be a permit, a crossing permit, but I can find out. Okay, is there a specific spot you're looking at?
No, this is the first time I've seen or heard about this. So these are just kind of my initial reactions.
Those are, that's where.
I sent you, did you get my email?
You can probably send it to Michelle.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. If you would have sent it to Michelle, then she probably would have received it. She was not.
Okay, excellent. I'm happy to email you these documents as well if you'd like.
This is
And if you'd like to get your attorney to review the agreement, I'm more than happy to send it as a Word document or like to change it out.
Sure, yeah, please do that.
What is your,
It's P. Henderson at ATCOKS.org.
18 COKS.
AT for Atchison, CO County, KS, Kansas.
18 represents Atchison.
No, AT,
Oh.
not 18, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Alpha Tango.
Okay.
I was just gonna, any of the commissioners, we could all three receive it at that address.
Sure.
If you have any.
So this goes to all three of you.
All three of us, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so just so you know, my process right now, I'm speaking to the other 4 counties as well. Well, the other 3, not Nemaha. Nemaha is kind of being wrapped in with the wind project, but just introducing myself, introducing the agreement. Again, it's nothing set in stone. This is your county. This is ultimately your decision to make. And if there's something you would like to add or subtract to the agreement, more than happy to discuss that with you.
We'll give us some time to look at it.
Sure, absolutely.
Thanks for coming in.
Jackson County, the commissioners are actually driving the haul route as we speak.
What?
They're driving the haul route as we speak. So they met with Chris as well, but they decided to do that. So that's also fine.
Okay.
I'll be back next week. I'm here for
Okay, and I think we're gonna talk with Jay there about actually sometime driving that route and getting an idea, or maybe Roger, or,
This
I mean,
you all have my card right in those folders.
yes.
Just yours, but I got one.
Here, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for me for now?
I think it's about all. Thanks for coming in.
And if you ever have any questions on the fly, like don't ever hesitate to call me or call one of those folks on the contact list. If you have any constituents who are curious about things that you can't answer, shoot them over to us. Happy to address any concerns or questions.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
thank you,
John.
nice to meet you.
Roger Benton, GIS coordinator.
If you could email me a shape file of your route, is that possible?
It should be, yes.
Okay. It should make it easier for me to present to them so that they can get that. I have your card. Do you want me to request it?
Yeah, shoot me a note.
So I will make a request.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I might as well have Jay up here too because if you're going to be around for just a few minutes, we probably need 5 minutes here.
Okay.
Then we can get out and have a quick conversation.
Okay. Jay, did you leave that this morning?
Yes.
That's all right.
You look real good in line. And you're safe.
There was debris on the road when I was coming up there. I stopped and put it on to go out, and my other shirt got
Yeah,
all
your
dirty.
safety guy.
So
If the stripes would all be up and down, I'd worry.
You have the contract there with you today. The reason we're on here today is because I gave it to Michelle yesterday. I have
What is
another
it?
copy of it
Maybe
here
it's-
today.
What do you?
Jack may have it, okay?
Yeah.
That's it. What has gone on is that I was contacted by, actually, I think it was actually an email to Jay from KDOT, project that we've been working on, which we know is the high-risk rural roads, which is 100% state funded. We went through the selection process of engineers. They have negotiated with the engineers. They're getting down to it. And they looked in their file and said, well, we sent out a contract on this back in June, and it was never signed or sent forward. I don't know where that contract is or what occurred to it. They sent it to Emily, and somehow it was in a transition time, and I don't know that the commission ever approved it, and we couldn't find record of that. So they need a copy of this agreement before they can proceed with their next contract, because this has to be signed and in place. Let me explain just a touch to you on how this contract works. It's a four-party contract. There are four groups which are going to essentially be involved. The state, the county, there's an engineer, and there's going to be a contractor. Now, it says how all of those work, and the state generally works on your behalf, but they need to have this in from the county saying, yes, we want you to do this job, and please represent us while you're doing it. The risk to it is this: once you start it, you can't back out, because they are going to do certain commitments based on your signature in this. They already have, by the way, because we've already proceeded down the list with advertising, selecting of consultants for the engineering work. There was a preliminary on this a year ago. There's a lot of work that's gone into it. But this contract is essential, that says essentially we're going to work with the state on this. State's going to pay for it. In fact, one of the things that they asked, the estimate of hours was a little bit high. They sent me an email and asked, what's your thought about this? And my response was, it's my understanding that as long as we follow your direction, it's totally paid for by the state. And so are you recommending this? And her comment was, yes and yes and yes. We are paying for it, and yes, we are recommending this. So we continue down that road. The things the state will pay for is the engineering and the construction of it. The things that the county would be responsible for, if any are required, are right-of-way acquisition and utility improvements. And as of now, we don't know that there is going to be either of those, utility relocations or right-of-way acquisition. By the way, utility relocation, if it's public utilities, those would all be on them anyway. The only ones you may be responsible for is if something were to occur in terms of utility where a sign was supposed to go, but I can't imagine that's going to be a serious problem. I think that's in there. Most everything else in here is standard boilerplate information. I would recommend that you approve this subject to Pat reviewing the contract and making sure that he's comfortable with all the things that are in it, so that we can get them to proceed with the engineering on this. Do you have any questions of me?
The chair would entertain a motion to sign the agreement number 73-19 based upon final review of our attorney.
Why wouldn't we wait till he reviews it and then recommend it and then make a motion to sign?
Well, because he could review it today or tomorrow, and they could get moving on it.
Okay.
Or if he didn't want to, then he'd bring it back.
Was that a motion or was you calling for a motion?
I was calling for it.
Okay. Pat, before.
These, I think this contract is going to be extremely similar to, this is the second round of the signage project that we had, which would be very similar. And also the off-system bridges that we've done. So I think I probably am not gonna have a lot of questions about it, but I will look at it. But I wouldn't anticipate there being problems with it, but if, are they wanting it back
Yes.
really quickly? So-
Yes, it's kind of holding up the works because they've already negotiated. They're ready to send us the next phase to do, and they sent it to me last Thursday. I was out of town Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for some county-related training, and when I just got back into the office yesterday. It's an email I was dealing with, and looked at a way to get this on the agenda so that we could get it
Okay.
processed and on the way.
I'll make the motion as stated by the chair.
I'll second that.
Who was seconded? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
And again, I apologize for the untimely manner. It's just, you have been working with this, we've been working with this all along, and it was just one of those things I probably assumed this was already done.
There's many cogs and moving pieces, so that's to be expected.
Anything else today?
That's it at the moment. I've been handing everything to Jay that I can, and we're gonna meet again after this
You
meeting
need to say anything.
and discuss some more things. So,
Okay.
Yeah, but
if
it's
you need
not
anything
until
else from me, let me know.
What's your take on the last one that we just had? Wouldn't they be reliable for property tax?
They will probably file for an exemption as a utility company, and they will probably receive that through the state. It's much the same as telecommunications stuff. All the towers that are out there, we may think that, boy, that would be good too, but all of those towers are exempt from
Well, I
property
think the
tax.
wind turbines is a payment in lieu of taxes.
Okay.
So maybe there should be a payment in lieu of taxes.
I can't absolutely answer those questions, and that probably falls more into the appraiser's line than it does into mine. But definitely, I think that it would have been nice to give you a little advance notice on this, and all I was trying to do was assist you in saying that it should be discussed a little bit at the lower levels and depend upon your staff more to give you information.
I was asked questions probably a year ago about this.
It's been longer than that.
Maybe longer
Probably
than that.
2 years
And
ago.
I thought, looks like they'd have come to us first, like I told them.
That and they actually have met with 2 to 3 townships. I was called probably a month ago, and I told her to get on the agenda and to get Michelle. So that's the first and only time I've heard about it officially.
Well, I don't think we should rubber stamp something before we understand it very well.
Okay.
Maybe the greatest thing we could do, but I'd like to understand it.
Let's look at our map where all the bad X's are and route them that way.
Yeah, they've already evidently purchased all. the
Well, I'm not
options.
vindictive here. Come on.
Okay, thanks, Roger.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else for us?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You probably haven't,
Apologize for being late.
That's all right.
you probably haven't found out anything what we discussed in the workshop.
He hasn't taken breath yet.
We're throwing the book at him.
Trying.
I like that.
Just
shirt
what you
on.
need. One more task.
Yes. If I had another person muted the robot, yes. That'd be good. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Okay, I have one new thing under new business. The Atchison County Health Clinic, which has actually been a vital part of Atchison County providing a lot of services along with NEK and the Atchison Health Department. They're applying for some grants. We're going to send them a letter of support. And we think it's a vital part of the community. So I don't require this, just we can sign this, we don't have to.
Do we need
I think we probably.
Well, let me make it simple. I'd like to call for a motion authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to send a letter of support, the Atchison Health Department, Health Clinic.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Do you have them listed for each township then, all three? Oh, okay, all right. Thank you. I'll get them too.
I'll make that motion to send a letter of support.
All in favor, signify by saying
Aye.
aye. Aye. Okay, we'll go ahead and sign it, and then maybe we can get mailed out today, or I can hand deliver it. It's better to mail. We get the mail today, Kim. This letter, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving right along. County councilor updates. Got it all.
I've been in touch with any K.S.A. both about the committee that needs to be formed, and then also we had some discussion about some nuisance investigations that they are completing. So I'd expect that there will be some reports on those coming up fairly soon. I don't know whether the clerk has received letters of interest yet on the committee. But,
Oh, that's been sent out? Or it's been
know.
posted?
I'm not sure.
I thought we had
But I
decided that it would be, they haven't put it in the newspaper, it would be on social media. I haven't seen the newspaper, but I haven't seen it on social media.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was or not.
I think there was something in the paper I recall seeing. I think I did. Was there, Mary? You'd know.
I haven't written anything.
She doesn't read the paper.
This would be something drafted by Pat. Did you draft the?
Been
The
noticed-
list?
been notices.
Michelle was.
Is there a cutoff date when they needed to respond by?
I didn't prepare it, so I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know.
I didn't know if you had like criteria or anything for her to go off.
I'll follow up with Michelle tomorrow, or back and follow up with her.
Yeah. Will she be back tomorrow?
Sure.
So you want to follow up, you want me to follow up?
Yeah. Well, I definitely will, but.
Okay, you followed up. Just need to be followed up twice. Anything else?
No, that's all.
Any need for an executive session? Public comment? I have one member of the public and the press. Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn at 1:44.
Also moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes 3-0.